A lot of times in recovery settings, I will hear advice being given to another person who is trying to change their life. They will tell them, hey, sometimes you just have to change your people, places, and things. And that is good advice, especially if you are hanging around people who are still doing things that you're trying not to do anymore. But there were a lot of times, and as I read and reread this book that I'm coming out with, I see so many times in my own journey that when I started getting squirrely and I knew there was an internal change I needed to make, I seeked an external change to get out of feeling those feelings. There were two separate times. The first time, whenever I got clean from drugs, right before I got clean, I tried to run away to a different state. And right before I got sober from alcohol, I tried to start new and run away to a different state. And there's a chapter in my book called You Can Run, But You Can't Hide. And basically, you can't. Like, you are you. You can't hide from yourself. And so whatever you're trying to run away from, or, sometimes we hear the term shiny object syndrome, and I hear that a lot in entrepreneurial settings, like, okay, he or she has shiny object syndrome, always wanting to start something new or launch something new. But I see shiny object syndrome a lot in people who are trying to avoid those, they don't know they're doing this. They don't realize it, because if they were self-aware, they probably wouldn't, because it definitely does complicate things a whole lot more whenever you are ready to make that internal change. But whether it's getting into a new relationship, moving into a new house, deciding to have another baby, quitting your job, if you're making these decisions because you're just feeling uncomfortable with your internal change, then I would just say pause. For me, when I first got sober, and my life has changed, it's night and day difference, my life. The person that I used to be, I wouldn't even recognize to the person I am today. And there's no way I could have done that myself. God changed me for me through surrender. But before that, I had a really hard time during that first year of recovery, and sometimes even the first 3 years of recovery. It was a process. I had to sit in that really uncomfortable place where I wasn't ready for the new life, but I knew I didn't want the old life. I had to be bored. I had to sit with those feelings. I had to get squirrely, and I had to just sit still. And had I made decisions that I wanted to do, oh gosh, when my dad passed away, I went through all the classes to be a foster mom. And I almost became a foster mom. I got the bunk beds and everything. And it was at the very last minute that I realized I was trying to fulfill something that couldn't be filled by anybody else but God. I was grieving, and I was seeking a change so I didn't have to feel those feelings. And because of all the work that I did, thank God I was self-aware to recognize that. And so, sometimes we are at a place where we're really stable and it's time for a new change and a new season. I'm kind of in that place right now where I've almost taken it too far, and it's so hard for me to do anything different because I'm like, no, this worked. And change is scary. I went from always wanting change because I crave the chaos to now just wanting stability and peace. But it's a balance. So I don't know if anybody got anything out of that, but I just felt it. I just felt it on my heart to share that today. So hopefully that gives somebody something to think about today.